Are you shoulder pressing correctly? Are you hurting your shoulders when you shoulder press? Now, obviously some people try and keep their arms out really wide, and some people even do behind the neck pressing. Well, the dilemma on this sort of thing is that it's not a natural and comfortable position for your shoulders to be in. You're in an extreme range of motion. Your shoulders actually point at diagonally forward and sideways position. The shoulder blades, the actual joint surfaces, are angled out diagonally. So obviously anything that's around there is stretching the anterior, the front part of the shoulder joint, and putting stretch onto that area. Obviously at the front as well, naturally it creates a fulcrum effect where the ball and socket, the ball wants to shift forwards. So it's going to create a stretch over the long head of the biceps tendon and the subscapularis tendon as well on the rotator cuff. So you're going to overload on these areas, and obviously cumulatively over time you could then create issues for the shoulder. The other thing is that the reason people do this actually is because obviously out wider is going to recruit more the lateral head of the deltoid, and rather than the anterior head. And this is true. Behind the neck would recruit it more, obviously more perfectly sideways would. Out in the front is obviously going to be more anterior deltoid. But obviously there are other exercises to target the lateral head of the deltoid. So it's kind of like it doesn't make a lot of sense when there's another exercise that is safe, that you could do, that isn't risking anything, that you might as well do that way. So what I would say is, if you're going to do pressing, I think you should do pressing in the position they call scaption. And scaption basically is that angle I was talking about, where the rib cage curves inwards, curves around, the shoulder blades sit on that rib cage, so the angle of the joint surfaces at the shoulder joint point at a diagonal. It's like if you just shrug your arms up, you'd get a motion that would be in that plane, roughly speaking. So you would still have good shoulder blade positioning, but you would have your elbows slightly in front of your shoulder. Again, so if you look down the shaft of your humerus, it would be pointing out in a diagonal fashion. And then obviously you go above and then back down to there. And it's a much safer position, a much more stable position, and a less stretched position for your shoulder in the longer term. And again, it's about longevity, not about what maximizes the effect that I'm trying to get right now. And like I say, for lateral head, obviously you've got plenty of other options as well. So anyway, I want to not see people doing that in the future, because I do see a lot of patients who get shoulder injuries. And yeah, I would say that they're all doing pressing, near enough anyway, really wide and keeping it wide, and that's just stressing the joint out. And I've seen some people come back in just from giving them the cue of bringing them forwards, and the pain resolves or the pain reduces. So it does make a difference, and I have been doing that for a while, and I've had shoulder issues in the past, and I used to not necessarily like doing shoulder press, whereas now shoulder press is fine, and it's because I just adjusted the technique, which obviously puts less stress and strain on my old injuries. So anyway, thanks for that, and I'll see you next time. We want to keep making great content for our subscribers, so if anyone would like to support the channel by making a pledge, then we would be extremely grateful, and you can do this on our Patreon page here.